What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about something that a lot of people have asked me to talk about, and I finally will, and that's silver proving grounds. Now, if you guys don't know, you have to complete silver proving grounds in order to queue up and do a heroic through the looking for dungeon tool. You can still go ahead and with all of your other friends who can't complete silver proving grounds and figure out where the dungeon is and then get there and then do the dungeon yourself. But in order to use the LFD tool, you have to complete silver proving grounds. Now, I'm doing this video because I saw a video online, and it was by Mike Preach WoW. If you guys don't know who he is, he does WoW videos, pretty similar to mine, like guides and just commentary stuff. Definitely want to check it out. Does very good videos. Anyway, so he does a video about this, and he's talking about how he went in there on his mage normal mode dungeon because he didn't have the item level to queue into a heroic. And so he goes in there, and he has a tank complaining and like yelling at him, calling him a nub or something like that. Because his frost elemental, because he's a mage, his frost elemental had taunt on. Now, I mean, I know that you guys might not all play mages. Look, let me tell you something. They don't even have taunt. It doesn't even exist. And so this guy obviously is a complete fucking moron, and not Mike Preach WoW, but the guy who's complaining about the frost elemental has no idea what he's doing, can't hold aggro, and the dungeon's going to take forever, right? And so everybody loses. And people are saying that this is unfair, that, they're not able to, queue into, and like Blizzard's locking them out of content. And yes, Blizzard is locking them out of content. And it's not an artificial gating mechanism, it's a benchmark. That's what it is. And proving grounds do not really, I guess, prepare you, or it's not like if you've done a proving ground, you get a stamp and you say, okay, now this person can do a heroic for sure. No, it's just a benchmark. It's like if you can't complete silver proving grounds, the odds are you can't hold your own in a heroic either. And that's really what this comes down to ultimately, is that people are not able to even hold their own in their own heroic if they're not able to do so proving grounds. And so I queued into a normal mode dungeon, on my Death Knight as a tank to see, is it really this bad? And let me tell you guys, it is even worse than I could have even imagined. We had two people in the dungeon who had like full half epic gear. And so that means that obviously this silver proving grounds was locking them out of content. And I'm going to do another dungeon too, and I'll show you guys some of the gear choices that these people made. They're very interesting, and they were both doing 5,000 DPS. That's right, and this is not Wrath of the Lich King, by the way. This is Warlords of Draenor. So this is like 3 expansions later. I mean, I know there's the item squish, but still. I mean, oh my god, 5,000 DPS is horrible. Like that wasn't even good at level 90 after the item squish. It was just garbage. And so what this comes down to is that if you have that person who's doing 5,000 DPS in a heroic, best case scenario is that they're dead weight. That is the best case scenario, is that they're dead weight. And the worst case scenario is that they're going to cause you to wipe. And I thought of a couple examples of how this could happen. Now, first one, we're going to look at 2 bosses in Bloodmaw Slagmines. Now, the first boss we're going to talk about is Roltall. He's the guy on the bridge who puts the fire down after he does the pushback mechanism. Anyway, so assuming that you have 2 people in there who are doing 5,000 DPS, you will pretty much, for sure, because every single time he finishes doing the heat wave, he'll put fire on the ground, and the longer he does fire, basically the more fire that's on the ground, and at some point the fire is everywhere, and you have to stand in it, and it will just kill everybody. So if you have 2 people in doing 5,000 DPS, there's no way that you can complete that dungeon. There's no way, because those people literally, unless you have somebody else who's doing like 40 or like 30, 40, 50,000 DPS, and the tank is doing a lot of damage too. And so you effectively have to either carry them completely, and a lot of people just don't even have that ability to. And the people who do, I don't really think it's fair that they have to queue in and carry somebody else just because they want to do a random content. Like, that's not fair to them. And so it's not fair to everybody else who's queuing into a heroic to have to deal with somebody who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. And, I mean, like, let's be honest, guys. If you can't complete silver proving grounds, you're a very bad player. That's all there is to it. I don't really care what your excuse is. Like, if somebody is, if they can only play with one arm or something like that, it doesn't really matter what the excuse is. The end result is they're going to hold back and waste 4 other people's time. And I think that especially because this would be kind of okay if you were able to actually kick people out in dungeons, but because of all the vote to kick restrictions and everything like that, and I already made a video about that, you're effectively stuck with these people so you're getting set up to fail. You're getting set up to fail by Blizzard, if they just let anybody queue into heroics. It's like that's why they don't let level 98 players queue into heroics, is because they can't do it. Like this is literally the exact same thing, because I have level 98 characters that do more than 5,000 DPS. Like, it's surprising to me, and I know that people might say, oh, well, it's still not fair, that they pay for the game or whatever else. Well, everybody else who's completing the heroics pays for the game as well. And is it fair for the people who are doing the heroics to have their minimal amount of time that they're going to play the game every day, wasted by somebody who just doesn't even care, or doesn't? It doesn't really matter what the excuse is. Like I let people saying, oh, they don't have time to learn. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Other people do, and so it's not those other people's responsibility to carry somebody else just because they don't have time. It's everybody's individual responsibility to at least pull their own weight. And like, let me ask you guys something. If you had 5 people in a dungeon who are pulling 5,000 DPS, you're the equivalent of it as like a healer, like 5,000 HPS, or like, I don't know, like Bad Threat as a tank, something like that, taking a lot of damage, you would never even probably get to the first boss, because you would just keep wiping over and over and over and over. And that's really what would happen. And so that's actually what happens in normal modes, and they're even easier than heroics. And so normal modes are even easier, and actually turned out to be harder because of how low the player skill is in those dungeons. And so this is an amazing thing that Blizzard did, and it's a great thing for everybody else who actually cares about the game, because honestly, Blizzard should cater to the people who actually know how to play their game, because another argument is, well, then the people are just going to get bored of doing the normal mode dungeons and quit. Well, you could use that literally the same logic and apply it to heroics. They're going to get bored of doing heroics in LFR instead of doing normals in LFR, and it's going to come to the same conclusion, because heroic gear is shittier than LFR, so they're going to have heroic LFR gear, all full LFR gear anyway, assuming that that's what they're going to do. And, functionally, it's going to be the same problem, because, like, let's be honest, like, if you're doing even a normal high mole run, you've got to have people who are doing more than, like, 5,000 DPS. And so these people literally cannot pull their own weight, and nobody given a chance is going to play with them. And so that's also another big issue here, is that you're being forced to play with somebody who's going to be a detriment and make your raid wipe, or your group wipe. And another example, I do want to talk about 2 bosses, because it's not just Roltal. Last boss in Bloodmaw Slugmines, because healer mana is not infinite anymore. And so obviously, if the boss takes long enough, you're going to wipe because of no heals. Bloodmaw Slugmines' last boss summons the ads, and he puts the fire down, he does the damage to everybody in the group. There's going to be no way that a healer could keep everybody up. Like, even like the best healer in the best guild could not keep everybody up. Sorry. I can almost guarantee this. Through the amount of time it would take to kill the boss, if all 3 players in that group were doing 5,000 DPS. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's what would happen. That's obviously what would happen. And then probably one of them would be standing in the fire, other one would already be dead somehow. And it's just, I mean, end result is that you're stuck with these people who cause you to fail, and there's going to be no way that you can kill the boss. Like, you're stuck in a lose-lose situation. There's no way that you can win. And people are going to say, okay, that's not always how it is. You're always going to get somebody that, does more DPS. And then it's like, again, is it this person's like responsibility to carry these other people because they don't care, or they're not going to put enough effort into the game to understand how to at least basically play their character? No, that's not fair to the other people who actually do try, that they're going to be held back and held responsible for somebody who's inept at playing the game and is going to waste their time. Like, that's not fair to those people as well. So it's not fair either way. And I'm very surprised that there's even a talk about this, because this is the same thing, because it's not really an artificial gating. It's not artificial, because it's obviously, like, if you complete a proving ground, that does not really, I guess, like, quantify you or qualify you to do a heroic, like, just by itself. It's not like proving grounds train you to do heroics. They do in a way, but it's like, if you can't complete a proving ground, the odds are you can't hold your own in a heroic either. And with gear being as low as it is, it's not like we're all in like full Siege of Orgrimmar gear going back and doing Mogushan Palace or something like that in Mists of Pandaria. No, I mean, like, the heroics are still kind of hard for a lot of different groups, because they just don't have that much gear. And so if you put somebody in there who just can't do anything, honestly, they just can't do anything. They probably can't do mechanics. They do terrible damage, and they probably stand in stuff and make the healer have to heal them extra. You're going to make that group pretty much fail. And that's not fair to all those other 4 people that you're trying to cater to this one person who's not even trying. That's really what it comes down to. And I'm very glad that Blizzard did this, because it's about time that people are not being punished for trying to play, use the random group finder and be trying to be forced to carry people who aren't performing. And, it's like any other, if it was up to the people who were actually in the group, they'd kick this guy out, as I said. But because of all the kick restrictions, you can't even kick out the bad players. And so you're stuck with somebody, you can't get rid of them. And then what do you have to do? You have to leave and re-queue for another half hour? That sucks. And so please, like, if you're one of the people who thinks that the Silver Proving Grounds is a problem, or you're having trouble with Silver Proving Grounds, there are a lot of guides online, and if people really need help, I can probably make a guide about how to do whichever one people need, because I'm going to be leveling up all my characters. But anyway, people ask my opinion on this, and again, like, I am the guy that made the elitist guide. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now, and but this is not an elitist opinion. It's really not. This is a real, logical, common sense opinion and argument, and I can't really see how anybody would disagree. But I'm sure some people do. If you do, let me know. If you don't, awesome. You're not crazy. So either way, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.